An island of fewer than 300,000 people. A woman worth more than $1 billion who has not released an album in almost a decade. And a title so rare that, as of this month, exactly one living person on Earth carries it. She is a national hero of an entire nation, not a metaphor, a legal, state-given honor. And this summer, she became the only living person who holds it. This is the story of how a girl who sold clothes off a folding table in Bridgetown became the most powerful export her country has ever produced. Welcome back, where we go deep on the wealth, power, and legacy of the Black community worldwide. Stay with me for a few minutes, because this story is far bigger than one pop star and one beach. This is a study in the quiet science of ownership. It is about what happens when a global icon stops chasing fame and starts collecting equity, deeds, and receipts. Barbados gave the world a superstar. What she gave Barbados cannot be measured on any chart. The origin. Robyn Rihanna Fenty was born in the parish of St. Michael, Barbados in 1988 into a house where money meant tension, not comfort. Her father struggled with addiction. Her parents' marriage cracked under the weight of it. As a child, she sold clothes and scarves beside her father at a street stall, learning the rhythm of a sale before she ever learned the rhythm of a hit record. She suffered headaches so blinding that doctors feared a tumor and ran scan after scan. There was no blueprint here, no trust fund, and no family office waiting to catch her. There was just a sharp, watchful girl in a small island economy where the ceiling for a Black woman's ambition was assumed, quietly, to be low. She attended Combermere School. Her mother, an accountant born in Guyana, drilled a work ethic into her that never left. She marched in the Barbados Cadet Corps and learned discipline the hard way. Remember that image of the parade square, because the same girl standing at attention on cracked pavement would one day have her name spoken beside knights and founding fathers. The foundation. Because talent alone is never enough, she needed a door, and the door came disguised as luck. In 2003, an American record producer named Evan Rogers was on the island with his Barbadian wife. A mutual contact arranged for a teenage Rihanna to sing for him. She walked in and delivered, and the room went still. She began recording demos, splitting her time between the beaches of home and a house in Connecticut, a teenager betting everything on a single voice. Then came the audition that bent the arc of her life. A demo reached Def Jam, where the president was Sean Carter, the rapper the world knows as Jay-Z. He heard her, and the story goes that he would not let her leave the building until the contract was signed. She was 17. In 2005, her debut single arrived, and a Caribbean cadence most American radio had never centered went straight into rotation. The girl from the stall had a record deal. But a record deal is only fame. And fame, as this channel says again and again, is a depreciating asset. The rise. But watch what she did with that fame, because this is where the real story hides. Her debut album arrived, and within 2 years, the single Umbrella turned her from a promising newcomer into a global weather system of her own. Album after album, from Good Girl Gone Bad to Loud, she stacked chart-topping singles and Grammy Awards, becoming one of the best-selling and most streamed artists in history. A fixture at the top of the charts on both sides of the Atlantic, she sold hundreds of millions of records. She headlined the largest stages on the planet. By every traditional measure of a music career, she had already won. She could have run that playbook forever. Tour, release, tour, release. Let the machine feed itself. And this is the exact moment where most celebrity stories end and where hers actually begins. Because near the peak of her musical power, she made a decision that looked, at the time, almost reckless. She slowed the music down. Her last studio album arrived in 2016, and then came a silence that has now stretched across most of a decade. Fans begged for more, and she gave them something else entirely. She went looking for ownership. Think about the discipline that takes. To be one of the most famous singers alive, sitting on a machine that prints money every time you release a song, and to simply switch it off because you have decided a bigger prize is waiting somewhere else. The real estate. Here, the title of this video deserves an honest correction, because the truth is better than the myth. Rihanna does not own Barbados the way a developer owns a skyline. Her largest homes sit far from the Caribbean, in the hills of Los Angeles, including a Beverly Hills estate reported around $14 million. The empire that made her a billionaire is not built from island acreage at all. It is built from something more portable and more powerful. It is built from equity in companies that carry her name. And that distinction is the whole lesson. A house can burn, a beachfront can erode, but a majority stake in a brand that millions of people buy from every single day is a different kind of asset. That is the real estate that matters here, not the land, the ledger, the business empire. Therefore, the question stops being where she lives and becomes what she owns. In September of 2017, she launched Fenty Beauty with the luxury conglomerate that owns Sephora through its Kendo division. The idea was simple and, somehow, revolutionary. She built a foundation line in dozens of shades, engineered so that women with deeper skin, women who had spent their lives hunting for a match, could finally find one on day one. The market answered instantly. The brand reportedly generated around $100 million in its first full month and roughly $550 million in its first year, outpacing celebrity lines that launched with far more hype. Watchers named the phenomenon the Fenty effect, as rivals scrambled to widen their own shade ranges to meet a standard she had just set. And here is the part that matters most. She owns 50% of it. Not an endorsement fee, not a royalty check, but a full half of the company that bears her name. Then came Savage X Fenty, her lingerie house, launched in 2018 on a promise of radical inclusivity in sizing and casting. It reached a valuation near $1 billion after major funding rounds, with her stake estimated around 30%. In 2019, the same luxury empire made her the first woman and the first black woman to build an original fashion house under its roof in Paris. That fashion line was later paused, an honest reminder that not every bet lands, but the beauty engine kept running. She added a skincare line in 2020, folding it into a single Fenty ecosystem that now reaches customers in every corner of the world. Every new venture followed the same rule she had learned as a girl on that street stall. Own the thing outright, or do not bother building it at all. Because the numbers you are about to hear are the reason her name now sits beside a nation's founding fathers, and they are worth slowing down for. If this breakdown of turning fame into ownership is landing for you, take 1 second and subscribe, because stories like this one drop here every week. Now watch how she thinks about attention itself. Forbes named her a self-made billionaire in 2021, her fortune reportedly peaking near $1.7 billion. The road since has not been a straight climb. Recent estimates place her net worth somewhere between roughly $1 billion and $1.4 billion, and reports noted a decline of several hundred million in a single year, blamed on flatter beauty sales and executive turnover at the lingerie brand. Even billionaires face correction. But the structure holds. She still owns half of the thing. When she finally returned to a stadium stage for the Super Bowl halftime show in 2023, she did not announce a comeback tour. She performed visibly pregnant, and in the days after, searches and sales for her beauty brand spiked. She had turned the most watched slot in American television into a storefront. That is the entire philosophy in one image. Fame is not the destination. Fame is the traffic. Ownership is what you build to capture it, the legacy play. But a fortune that never comes home is just a number. And this is the part that separates a rich celebrity from a national hero. In 2012, she founded the Clara Lionel Foundation, named for her grandparents, Clara and Lionel Braithwaite. One of its earliest acts was deeply personal. She funded modern radiotherapy equipment for the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Bridgetown, the same hospital that had treated her grandmother's cancer, and the oncology center there was renamed in her grandmother's honor. She funded primary and secondary education across the island for years. She built scholarship programs to send Barbadian students to university. She committed millions to climate resilience across the Caribbean, where island nations face the sharpest edge of a crisis they did least to cause. In 2018, The government named her an ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary, charged with promoting education, tourism, and investment. A street she once lived on was renamed Rihanna Drive. Beyond the island, her annual Diamond Ball has funded the foundation's work for years, and Harvard University named her its Humanitarian of the Year back in 2017. Long before the beauty empire had even crested, this is the instinct to buy back the block, lifted to the scale of an entire nation. It is not a chain around the neck, but a hospital wing, a classroom, a scholarship, real and lasting infrastructure. The only one left. Therefore, the honor at the center of this story was not a gift, it was earned. On the 30th of November, 2021, at the precise moment, Barbados removed the British monarch as its head of state and became the world's newest republic. The new nation named her a national hero. It was a night heavy with meaning. A country that had once been a colony was cutting the last formal tie to a crown, and standing on that stage, chosen to embody the future, was a daughter of the island who had conquered the world on her own terms. She became the 11th person ever to hold the title, and at the time one of only 2 living heroes. The other was Sir Garfield Sobers, widely called the greatest cricketer who ever lived. For years, the two shared that rare distinction. Then, this summer, in 2026, Sir Garfield passed away, and the state laid him to rest with full honors. Rihanna stood at the Kensington Oval cricket ground, laid flowers, and spoke of the man she had idolized as a girl playing cricket in a cemetery to keep up with her brother. The Prime Minister marked the moment publicly, saying that Rihanna now stood as the nation's only living national hero and that the weight of carrying the country onto the world stage now rested with her alone. Rihanna answered simply. She said she was honored to carry the torch, that these were incredible shoes to fill. The title narrowed to a single name. Today, she is a mother of 3 children with the rapper A$AP Rocky, a businesswoman who answers to no label, and the sole living embodiment of an entire nation's honor. She could live quietly anywhere on the planet. Instead, she keeps returning to the island in the ways that count, showing up for its celebrations, standing in its grief, tying her global fortune back to the place that made her. That is the part most of her peers never reach. The money, at her level, is almost common. The loyalty is the rare thing. Return, for a moment, to where we began. An island of fewer than 300,000 people. A woman worth more than $1 billion who walked away from the microphone at her commercial peak. A title held, today, by exactly 1 living person. Every one of those numbers means more now because you understand the machinery behind them. A girl who sold clothes off a folding table built a beauty empire that sells in every major market on earth. A girl whose grandmother was treated for cancer built the hospital wing that now treats other people's grandmothers. A girl who marched a parade square in a cadet uniform now stands alone as the honored hero of the republic that raised her. She did not get rich the way pop stars get rich. She got rich the way owners get rich, trading the applause of the moment for the equity that outlasts it. That is black wealth in its truest form. Not what you spend, what you build, what you own, and what you carry home. So here is the question I want you to sit with. What impressed you most? Number 1. The billion-dollar beauty empire she built from 50% ownership. Number 2. The lingerie house she scaled toward $1 billion valuation. Number 3. The hospital wing and the scholarships she funded back home. Or number 4. The fact that a girl from a street stall now stands as the only living hero of an entire republic. Tell me in the comments. And if you want to meet the man who signed her at 17 and built his own empire on the exact same principle of ownership over fame, go watch our full breakdown on Jay-Z next.